No, my cherubic master, I didn't call you a fatso. What I said was, you are fat for a gay man, which happens to be the same as you are thin for a straight man. And besides, this is just an observation. I'm not making any judgment about your lack of visible abdominal muscles.
Thank you for your clarification, slave.
No problem, Santa.
So, slave, do we have a question to answer?
No, master, we don't, but you do.
And?
And what?
And what is the question? And who is it from?
Mary Lou Smith sent you a card with a very beautiful hand-painted watercolor illustration on it.
Are you sure that it is hand-painted?
It looks hand-painted, and also the artist's initials of MLS are painted in the corner of the card. I would show you the painting, but it is on what I would guess to be a cold press paper with a weight of 638 grams per square meter.
So why can't you show it to me?
Why should I bother? A cold press paper is not a device where I can turn the brightness up for you.
Hand me the card, please.
You have no idea where your glasses are, do you?
Slave, what is this scribbling? Has Mary Lou written something on the card?
Master, I'm not sure. I'm not very good with cursive, but I will try to decipher it. Please don't read my card or name out in a video. I don't want my husband or his family to know that I'm writing to you. They are deeply religious people and hate everyone. They especially hate you. My question is, can you tell me what compassion is? Sincerely, Mary Lou Smith.
My dear Mary Lou Smith, thank you for writing, and thank you for your lovely watercolor painting of a smiling flower on 368 GSM card.
Master, I just told you that it is a cold press paper with a weight of 638 grams per square meter. Where did you get the 368 grams per square meter card from?
Dear Mary Lou Smith, in order to illustrate for you what compassion is and what it looks like, I will first need to introduce you to our main character, a compassionate Buddha. But before I introduce you to our main character, I would like to set the scene. If I'm adequately able to set the scene, you will have a better understanding of the circumstances in which a person might encounter a compassionate Buddha.
Master, she just asked you not to identify her. She actually put that request in writing.
Oh my gosh. What was I thinking? Mary Lou, I have a much better idea. I'm going to give you the compassionate Buddha's backstory. Picture for a moment an enlightened being who doesn't want anything from anyone. And no, I don't believe you when you say that you can really empathize with not wanting anything from anyone. Please, Mary Lou. Smith, please try to take this seriously. I'm not talking memes, selfies, talk is cheap kind of stuff here. Rather, I'm talking about a profound and absolutely real experience of not wanting anything from anybody. For instance, unlike you, Mary Lou, a compassionate Buddha does not need people to like her, nor does a compassionate Buddha need anyone to think any particular thing about her. Nor does a compassionate Buddha even crave respect. Nor does a compassionate Buddha get upset if her own parents pay more attention to her older sister than to her. Actually, Mary Lou, let's cut to the chase. A compassionate Buddha doesn't actually want anything at all. And no, I can see that you still don't get it. But that's okay. So long as you don't talk shit to me about things you know absolutely nothing about, we will continue to get along just fine. So like I said, Mary Lou, this compassionate Buddha, she don't want for anything at all. And I really mean she don't want nothing from nobody.
Master, I don't see any smile on the face of the flower she painted. I don't even see a face on the flower. As per usual, I have no idea what you're talking about, Master.
Mary Lou, a compassionate Buddha experiences absolute freedom from that old proverbial chestnut. Do you know which chestnut I'm talking about? You probably think that I'm talking about the proverbial chestnut of being free from desire. Sure, you say to yourself. A compassionate Buddha is free from desire. But that is not the old chestnut that I'm referring to. I am referring to the other old chestnut. You know, the magical old chestnut of fables. The chestnut of being free from the desire to be free of desire.
Oh, that old proverbial chestnut. Behind your back, when you can't hear me, I refer to it as being free from the desire of becoming a boring, fat, old, enlightened guru.
Oh, Mary Lou, so here we are with our main character, an enlightened being with her corresponding perspective. A perspective, by the way, which is beyond the imagination of most people. And to be fair, even if a person thinks that they can imagine what freedom from desire is like, they are probably wrong.
Master, I'm not following this. I'm glad you never scripted any of the Star Trek episodes.
Oh, but Mary Lou knows what I'm talking about. Don't you, Mary Lou? She knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Are you sure, Master?
Mary Lou knows what it's like, and it goes like this. You imagine something that you are unfamiliar with, and you imagine it being one particular way, but then one day, whammo! You actually come to experience it for yourself.
Whammo?
That's right, but when you finally experience it for yourself, it turns out to be nothing like how you imagined it. That is what I'm talking about.
Master, why didn't you just say so?
I didn't say it because sometimes something new is exactly as you imagined it. And that is the moment when your whole being begins to wonder if there is some part of you that has experienced this before, maybe even during a previous life.
As far as I can remember, Star Trek never mentions previous lives.
Okay, Mary Lou. So basically, compassion comes from enlightened beings. Or, in other words, in order for a person to be truly compassionate towards another, I mean, in order for a being to express total and real compassion, that being must first be in a state of no desire. And then, and only when a person is in that state of no desire, which, by the way, is also an egoless state. Slave, have I done a video on the egoless state?
Yes, Master, but I taped over it before it got posted on YouTube. I needed the space for an episode of Star Trek where Captain Janeway is incredibly hot and...
Anyway, my dear sweet Mary Lou Smith, you are once again imagining compassion all wrong. You are so wrong about what it is and what it is like that I think you should stop thinking that you have any idea whatsoever.
Master, how do you know what Mary Lou is thinking?
Please listen with your whole being, Mary Lou. Let me help you with an example from your life. Several times a day you tell yourself that you are totally and completely in love with your boyfriend as well as your husband. And that is sweet, but, well, I don't believe you're really in love with either of them. But I do believe that you believe the story which you tell yourself several times a day. No, Mary Lou, don't argue with me. Please just shut up and listen for a change.
Master, I didn't hear her arguing. I didn't hear anything at all.
So, Mary Lou, do you like it when either of them looks at any other woman who is more beautiful than you? Do you like when your husband or your most recent boyfriend stares at that woman who works in the supermarket? You know the one I'm talking about. She has tits that look like they are fake, yet they're probably real. She has a flat stomach and a petite yet perky arse, and her hair, for fuck's sake, how is it fair that any woman should have hair like that? You can't compete with her physical beauty. And why exactly do you feel the need to compete with her anyway? Why do you need to compare yourself to her? And why do you want bad things to happen to her?
Master, does the supermarket woman have a brother? Can you ask her for me?
Yeah, so Mary Lou, you don't like the woman who works in the supermarket because you don't like it that your boyfriend can't help but stare at her. He stares at her, and you try to talk to him, but he can't hear you. He doesn't even know you are talking to him. Ooh, my, that makes you so angry. But why do you feel such anger towards these men and this beautiful woman? I thought you loved your boyfriend as well as your husband. I thought you were in love with them. And your poor boyfriend, what crime has he committed? Maybe he even loves you. Maybe he loves you and he also just happens to be enjoying such a simple pleasure as looking at a beautiful woman who is not his girlfriend. Why does this make you so angry? Shouldn't you be pleased that your boyfriend is experiencing such great pleasure? And such an innocent pleasure at that. He's just looking at a woman who is far more beautiful than you. And why does it make you angry that he's not paying attention to you? Does that hurt your ego? I thought you loved him. Why do you need him to pay attention to you? I could go on and on.
And you probably will.
And either you get the point or you don't. You see, Mary Lou, your personal experience of love is based entirely on your ego. Your experience of love is based on what you get out of it. Being in love for you means that you are the center of attention, that you are special, and that you can tell yourself and others that you are loved and desirable and important, and all these things that you tell yourself, these are things that fulfill your desires and they fulfill your ego.
Master, are you angry about me taping over your video so that I could watch Star Trek?
Well, Mary Lou, compassion is not like that. It doesn't want or need anything, not from your husband, not from your boyfriend, and not even anything to bolster your ego.
Beloved Master, you have told her who compassion is not, but you have not told her who compassion is.
Which, Mary Lou, brings us back to our main character, who is in a state of being which is completely free from desire. In this state of being, and only in this state, our main character is able to create and express compassion. And why only in that state? Because, as I have already explained, in any other state, the motivation for her actions would be based on her personal desires and ego. Yeah, so back to our main character, who we will call compassion. If, for example, she is in a state which is completely free from desire, and if, for example, she's looking at a human or an animal or a plant or an insect, she is very likely to view that human or animal or plant or insect with unconditional love.
Insects?
And if she is in a total state of no desire, she is also likely to be filled with or to be the very embodiment of love. Love fills the vacuum created by the absence of desire. Or, if you prefer it the other way around, desire destroys the love inside a being. Anyway, it is in this state of being, the being which is free from desire.
But Master, surely you don't mean wasps and mosquitoes.
Now I have forgotten what I was talking about. Unconditional love is the state of existence where there is no desire whatsoever. And that is in contrast to that other place. You know that other place. You have lived there your whole life, Mary Lou. If you were in the egoless state of no desire, you would have no choice but to be the embodiment of compassion in all of your actions. you would have no choice because your actions would not be motivated by your desires, but they would be motivated by real love.
I just got 2 taps on Grindr.
And this, Mary Lou, completes my description of a compassionate Buddha's backstory.
So are you ever going to tell her what compassion is?
Mary Lou Smith, compassion is the actions as well as the inactions of a being who is free from any desire whatsoever. Compassion is both the action and inactions of a person whose being is filled with love.
Master, you know I wouldn't erase your endless prattle for just any episode of Star Trek. It was one of the really good episodes. It was an episode with one of my favorite casts.
How interesting, slave. And have you ever noticed that her name is Captain Janeway? Have you ever considered that she might be portraying the way of the Jane? She might even be scripted as a personification of one of the female Tirthankara who have been erased by modern history.
Is that true?
Maybe. And I should point out that when the ego disappears, that love, bliss, and compassion takes its place. Slave, did I say that already?
What, Master? Are you talking to me? I wasn't listening.
I remember a time, we can call it the first time, but that I was fully consciously aware of being completely without any desire whatsoever. I mean, the first time that I was in a state of being, but also aware of it in a way such that I could consciously name it while I was experiencing it. In that moment of compassion, I had looked over at some Meher Baba disciples, and I remember being impressed at how profoundly insane they were. In that egoless state, I had no choice but to witness how profoundly insane they were. It actually surprised me to see what I was seeing, because moments before, when I was still in the normal ego state, they were just the kind of people who take themselves very seriously and also see themselves as superior to others. But when I looked at them again while in the egoless state, they were profoundly, profoundly insane.
Master, do you want to do a talk about the egoless state again? We could buy an extra memory card for this recorder. That way I won't have to tape over any Star Trek episodes.
Now, I don't mean to single out Meher Baba disciples as being any more insane than any other population. It's just that Meher Baba disciples happened to be the people who were talking in front of me in that particular moment when I was without desire. But they could have been anybody. I mean, this was a very universal situation. What I'm trying to say is, in that moment, I didn't really see them as having any particular identity. Instead of seeing an identity, I just saw how fucked up they were.
Master, do you remember what you were wearing?
You know how books about God mention that God wants people to love him? Have you ever noticed how the God in books is insecure and needy. Have you ever noticed how he needs people to love him? And have you ever noticed that the God in those books always seems to have some very serious anger issues? Have you noticed the God in books is not very compassionate? Maybe the God in the books is not enlightened. Maybe the God in the books should become a Buddha.
Beloved Master, are you going to tell Mary Lou how to become a compassionate Buddha?
No, slave, I am not.
Why?
Because she didn't ask. That is why. Mary Lou has only asked me what compassion is. I answered her question and then some.
Master, may I tell her?
Tell her what?
Do you mind if I point her in the direction of becoming a compassionate Buddha?
Oh, yes, slave. Please go right ahead and tell her. I would not miss this for anything.
Mary Lou, I have recently learned through the experience of my own meditation that having a desire is the same as being opposed to what is.
What did you say? I wasn't listening.
Master, I asked what you were making us for dinner.